How's it, everyone? YouTube and people across the globe. Jacques from Dapper Shaves. We're going to hone up a razor. I've got some in for maintenance, for honing. So let's quickly go through them. Here's a Canon Nile. Is it a, no, it's just a Nile, sorry. Nile from the Suzuki Corporation, a 27. I think I've done a honing video on this one. So this is this razor. Here we've got a Derby, also in very good condition. It's got some pitting on the spine. So those kind of works, I use a 320 Dremel abrasive wheel. I'll use that to clean up. I'm not going to do this in the video, it's just to give you indication of what I use to perform certain tasks. This is a Manaslu square point. Got a little bit of rust and pitting right in the heel in the corners, so this blade will also clean up quite nicely. Scales, beautiful. I've shaved with a razor from this manufacturer. They are absolutely awesome. Here we've got, I think it's a Tatter. I just need to confirm that logo. Also a little bit of scratches here on the scales. So I'm going to put this one side. I want to show you guys how I deal with those scratches. Feon, these are all Japanese razors. This one in a very good condition. It's got some discoloration on this side of the blade, which we'll sort out, and I think this is the razor we're going to hone up. And yes, the Canon razor. Also very good condition. Little bit of oxidation marks, and then also somebody's initial scratched in on the scales. So we're going to remove scratches and then hone up a razor. So I'm going to put this beautiful box and razors to the side. By the way, today's honing is, I'm going back to my roots, the stuff I really enjoy and recommend. Coticule and a Black Ark, so that's what we're going to use. I've also got a Washita. I'm not sure if we're going to use that, but we'll get into the gear when we start. I've got a little diamond plate, a loop that is important, and I've got steel wool for the scratches on the scales. So once again, I hope the light catches it this side, quite better, but some scratching this side. I use 0000 steel wool, guys. For me, it's the right tool for the job. You can also use 00 if it's quite deep to start off with, and you just keep working the scales. So nice rubbing. I've also got a cloth here which I use for polishing. So when we're done, I'm going to use this just to give the scales a little buff, to show you guys that the scales come back to its a nice original shiny look. The idea is not to sit here and wrap steel wool on plastic until it's gone, because it's going to take a couple of minutes and I want to get into honing. So I'm just going to give this a minute or two. Just keep moving. I've already nicked my glove. Keep on working this just for a minute or two. See how we progress, and then we're going to get into the honing. Welcome to anybody new to this channel. More importantly, welcome to my subscribers, the folk that visit this channel regularly. Much appreciated. And we'll get into the honing and the coticule in a moment's time. Here's one little scratch in the middle that's going to require a bit more work. So this is the other side, which is nice and polished as a reference. And this side is now the matte side, which has been worked with the steel wool. So I'm just taking my polished cloth, and we are just going to work this scale a little bit. I've got no current polish or cream on this cloth. It has got some old powder on here, so we'll just give this a little rub. So guys, this is obviously not done, but I wanted to give you a sense of what you can do to restore scales. This is obviously not complete, but you'll see looking a whole lot better, and there's still some fine scratches on there, and you just keep working it and you will have these scales back to its original beauty in no time. So I'm gonna put this razor to the side, move the cloth away, move the steel wool away. I want to quickly go and rinse off my gloves, and then we're back. Also, it's weather is upside down, lots of pollen in the air, so I've got a bit of a sniffles. Apologies for that. Feon. This is a 1800, and it's got what at the back? Takehane razors. Now, if you follow this channel in detail, especially when I spoke about the Japanese razors, you will know Takehane is the importer or the exporter of Japanese razors in Japan, Takehane, and in the 1940s, 50s, they changed their name to now I forgot. It will come to me. Takehane and Kikubushi. So they changed the name to Kikubushi, and that name they used to do Western style exports of razors in Japan. Just some background. Okay, enough said. We're going to start honing this razor. I've got a coticule here. In fact, I've got two. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the reverse side of the coticule, which is the Belgium blue backing. So I just want to hydrate these, and you will see that they've got, even though both are Belgian blues, slightly different, or a lot different, essentially. The stone here on the left, you will see it's got more like a holographic look to it, where this is more plain and dark. So this stone is very fine, doesn't quite cut as good, but the stone that looks like it's got these little pebbles and holographic 3D look to the surface when wet works quite well. So we're going to use the stone. I've got a little DMT diamond plate. This used to be 1200 It's obviously worn a bit, so who knows what it is. All I know is it creates the slurry I require, and it works well. So these stones, the Belgian blue side, I finished on a 140 grit diamond plate, so that it's got a nice coarse dressing to it. And you would have seen I just raised slurry from the edges, and that is to release the slurry but also keep the working surface at the dressed quite roughly, so that it helps cut quite well, or quicker than it normally does. And if you use a Belgian bluestone correctly, dress it, dilute the slurry, you can get actually quite good shaving edges of them. I have done this before, so I'll just put up a link here somewhere if you want to go and explore how I've honed on Belgian blues razor honing, so go and have a look. These razors are not going to require, I think, too much work. Having said that, it is critically important, and the most important thing to do is to set the bevel correct. You can't set the bevel correct, nice and straight and clean. The razor will struggle to shave the way you want it to. So, bevel work is the foundation of everything that follows, so ensure you go through the processes. A question that comes up a lot, Jacques, what stones must I get for honing? And it's quite an easy one to answer, really. First of all is, if you're interested in honing, you would already have a good idea about the differences between natural stones and synthetic stones. And so it's going to boil down to what your preference are. A lot of people understand the value of whetstones, but they don't want to get tied up in that difference from stone to stone. Synthetic stones, man-made, a whole lot better controlled. Natural stones, they're all different, all unique, and perform slightly different, even within the same vein. Or substrate or layer, or whatever type of stone you are using. I can still feel the surface of the stone to be quite abrasive because of the lapping, and so it's cutting nice. Once again, I quickly want to show you. Oh, I had a message coming up here. I'm quite sure this thing was switched off, so I hope it didn't interfere with the recording. In any case, what I want to show you is once again this look on the stone with the slurry, not purple anymore, quite grey from the slurry, from the swarf of the razor. This stone cuts quite well, so let's just quickly do an inspection of where we're at with the edge. So like most razors, the heel is going to require some work, not a lot. The rest of the bevel is looking really, really good. So let me sort out this heel, and then think if I show you guys, this thing will already take hairs effortlessly. There we go. But we need to correct this heel, and then we're going to jump to the smooth side, or the coticule side of the stone. We're going to refine the edge until I get the feedback and the sensation I like from it, and then we're going to switch to the Black Ark. So back to what stones to get. I'm a big fan of coticles because of their versatility, with a Belgian blue on the back and the coticule side, and you don't really need to worry too much about these stones. Coticles, in my opinion, you get essentially three types of coticles. The coticles that are quite abrasive, that cuts quick but are not necessarily great finishers. Then you get coticles that is quite hard. They cut very slow and are good finishers if you're patient with them. And then you get stones that do both very, very well. They cut quick and they finish excellent. And this stone, and we'll turn it around, is an example of the latter. Other thing I see from time to time when people put out honing videos, this one hasn't got a shoulder really, but a lot of guys are riding the shoulder. First of all, it's not great for you, the way the bevel is forming. And secondly, it's not great for the aesthetics of the razor, because that area is not supposed to see stone. And so I've always got a finger here as a stop or block to make sure I don't go over that. And when I come back, my thumb rides behind that to make sure I don't come onto that area. So we are very nearly there. The sensation I get from the bevel on both sides of the stone, very similar. So I just want to clean up this heel, and then we are going to jump to the coticule side. The other thing with coticles and Belgian blues, if you have a dense slurry, those particles will keep hitting the apex. So if you want to check by taking hairs if it's really, really sharp, what I do is I get rid of the slurry so that there's as little as impact on the apex as possible. And then we do short half strokes just to clean up. Take the water off, and you will see this takes hairs very, very easy and effortlessly. Guys, and this is what a properly set bevel should do. I test the hairs and the skin for comfort. So that's one. Happy with this. We can just confirm with a loop. Yes, nice and sharp, right to the point where it starts dropping off. So I'm very happy with that result. So what we're going to do now is we are going to change to the coticule side. But first I want to rinse razor and stone and hands. Here we go, back. Other important thing, guys, chamfer the edges, both sides of the stone. This is where you will pick up damage if you are not paying attention. So this stone, hydrating, it has been lapped flat and quite smooth So it's set up for finishing razors. So let's see what the stone can do. Once again, when I was working on the Belgian blue side, this razor is a extra hollow, but the Japanese steel quite hard tempered, and this is quite a stiff blade. So when I was working on the Belgian blue side, I had about nothing more than maybe 200 grams of pressure when working. Currently I've got about, and if I talk about pressure, that is edge biased pressure. So I torque the razor slightly towards the edge, so it takes off the pressure of the spine and make sure there's a bit of pressure when I'm cutting the bevel. And then as I start finishing bevel, I relax on that torque so that we can really shape the bevel and the apex suitable for shaving. And you will see there is, or hopefully you can, I didn't create any slurry, you will see the faint layers of swarf that is forming on the stone. It's a really fantastic finisher, cuts quick and produces this. I have in my collection of stones, I have not got a stone that can produce a more smoother edge than this stone by itself. So once I've got the smoothness level I want, we're going to jump to Black Ark, and we'll talk about the stone to do the finishing. So I get the smoothness, set the apex and the bevel on this, and then go and refine and essentially bump up the keenness without getting rid of the smoothness. So Jacques, how's that possible? And that's all about the particle size and the shape and how it's used and how it cuts, and if it's making deep striations in the steel or shallow wide ones. And so because of the Coticule and Belgian blues round shape of the particles, it creates a very shallow cut, and so there isn't any the teeth and the ridges, if you go and look under an electron microscope, is a whole lot shallower and shorter, and so that is where the smoothness comes from. And exactly the same with the Black Arkansas. All right, and now I'm going to back off this pressure totally. Just wash off the swarf and the razor. I'm going to switch to in-hand honing because it gives me a great feel of where we're at on the stone. I can feel the stone surface through the blade, nice and smooth, and I get a consistent feel across the bevel. So we're going to do a couple of these. And then maybe see if we can do a hanging hair test. And then we're going to switch to the Black Ark. Okay. Give this a strop, little palm strop quickly, and then I need to find a hair for my head and see if it will do a hanging hair test, which is only an indicator of where you're in your progression. Don't read too much into hanging hair test. And then we are going to eat the Black Ark. Right, first let's just quickly see if it pre-tops before I waste some time. Yeah, taking hairs very easily. And I just want to find a hair for my head, a few here. So let's just grab one. There we go. Okay. So the wind is blowing a bit. There's the hair. Let's see if we can. And get this right the first time in focus. Guys, can you see? I hope you can. Let's turn it this way up. It wants to bite, not quite. There on a hanging hair test. Obviously it needs a bit better stropping than I did. But what we're going to do is we're going to jump onto the Black Ark. Once again, my stone is dressed differently. 220 on the rough side, and extremely fine on the front. It's not burnished. I use Naguras to keep the surface smooth and level. Over time, that's a soapy solution. It just changes the dynamic and the tension of the fluid on the water and the suction or the vacuum between the stone and the blade. I'm currently on the smooth side. Don't really need to go to the rear. A lot of guys use oil. I'm not a fan of oil. A lot of folks get better results with oil than water. For me, I prefer the water. It doesn't dampen the feedback. Oil has got a way of muting some of the feedback, and one of the reasons I use water or soapy water. Yeah, that was a close call. For me, you can do as many laps as you like on a Black Ark. I try not to do hundreds, even though I think I've reached about 100 now. So I think I'm gonna stop here. It feels good. And what I want to do is really give this a proper palm strop. I just wanna try and not destroy my shirt. And with this honing and palm stropping, it's ambitious to try and do a hanging hair test, but nevertheless we're going to give it another go. Really need lots of leather length. Find the hair again. Here. We've got another hair here. Take this and see if it. There we go. I'm out of focus. I'm not sure if you guys can see this. There's the hair. Nicely cutting the hair, and that's just with a little bit of palm stropping. There we go. One more close to the heel. Maybe the heel requires a little. No, there we go. Nicely cut. So guys, that's me. Thank you for joining me on this video. The bevel on this really looks small, thin, very clean, very uniform. And we will be shaving this next. The Japanese razors, they do a little 45-degree right on the heel. They grind it in, which is quite nice. So see you guys on a shave video with this one. And I'll be doing a recording of most of these razors that's come in, so keep your eye open for them. Maybe leave a message down below if you want me to use different techniques in honing it with natural stones, J-nats or whatever. Cheers. Once again, thank you for your support. Ciao.